Hello, my fellow human. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If your messages resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So we are looking into how do people see you. I was really called to using the animal oracle decks. I might actually do another reading after this, considering I have all the animal oracle decks out, and that is a direct message from your animal spirit guide. I just really feel called that I need to do that, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because there's a message that needs to come out today on this, and there might be a tandem message in the next reading that I do. So keep an eye out for that. But we're going to be using the Dragon Riders Oracle by Christine Orana Fader today. And with that, let's hop to our prayer and we will get your reading underway. And pray that everybody is having a beautiful day. And thank you with your patience, or thank you for your patience with me as I'm getting things back into rhythm. I'm getting there. It's just when you miss so much time, it's really hard to get back up and going, and it feels like you're catching up from so many different things, and that's where I'm at right now. So I do see the scales are tipping back into a state of balance, but it's just a process. We're all human. My beloved source, this prayer is for any and all who come onto this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. Today I ask that you surround us in your white violet light. Help us to stay connected to our intuition. Help us to stay connected to our higher selves. Help us to hear the messages that are going to help us take confident, courageous steps forward on our path. It's easy for us to really think that other people have control over us. We've all been there. We've all been in this state of where we feel like if we didn't have to deal with certain people, if we didn't have to deal with a certain person, that we would be so much better off, that we would be so much further along on our journey. And while that may or may not be true, ultimately at the end of the day, we're here sharing this space with tons of other people, and there are going to be people of all different walks of life who come into our life and who cross our paths. And ultimately what we're looking for, seeking for, is alignment with ourselves, so that no matter whom we might run into along this journey, we are able to stand strong and continue to focus on the path ahead of us, to reconnect with our inner child, to reconnect with our own inner divinity, and to have fun as we take this life in stride. We tend to get so serious, wondering when this is going to happen or how that's going to happen, or once this comes in, will this make my life better or worse? And we lose sight of this present moment, this here now here beauty that is with us. As long as we are willing to take a breath, as long as we're willing to reconnect, as long as we're willing to let go of the past and to surrender the future to you, we can come to this here now here moment and truly be present in the blessing that is this moment. So I ask for this today for this tribe. As these words are spoken onto this reading and upon this tribe, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right, let me get this set up over here. Okay. This. And we'll give this a shuffle. All right, how do people see you? Cards are acting a little hinky. How do people see you? How do people see you? What would you like to share with us today, source? How do people see you? Okay, thank you. How do people see you? right, pile number 1. How do people see you? What Dragon Rider Oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today, Source? Thank you. Pile number 2. How do people see you? What Dragon Rider Oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today, Source? Thank you. Pile number 3. How do people see you? What Dragon Rider Oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today? Thank you. All right. 1 second. Okay. There's something here you need to see. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna, before we look at what's on the bottom of the deck, my left eye is tripping out. It was fine, and then all of a sudden, once we got the last card out, it just started like really itching and acting really crazy. And so there's something here that you're not receiving from spirit. There's something here that you're not receiving for the higher journey of your spiritual awakening. Or there's something here that maybe you are really attached to in the 3D, and it's been really hard for you to let go of in order to connect with your spiritual self. And especially with types of readings like these, that's something that can be very blatant, and it can also be very nuanced and subtle. And I feel like what Source is trying to say here collectively is that when you open your eye to receive, you can see that there are going to be people who are for you, and there are going to be people who aren't for you along the journey. But if you're always focused on how the outside world sees you, that there is going to always be like that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, people hate me, or people can't stand me, or people are against me, or it's me against the world. Well, my right ear just popped. Yeah. So exactly. There's this hearing the message, and hearing the message that'll help you move on from maybe this obsessive thinking of what other people are thinking about you, or moving beyond this how people are observing you, and stepping into this space of truly observing yourself. And how are you thinking about yourself? Which oftentimes, because this world is so outwardly faced or focused, it's hard for us to internally connect and understand how we feel or see ourselves. And so we're more focused on outside of ourselves, because that's, again, the pattern. It's societal. It's a construct that we've been in for so long. And so we're so focused outwardly how people are receiving us. And look, I'm guilty of this too. This isn't just something that's like, oh, you know, like it's a problem with 1 or 2 people. No, this is something that is mass inducing ideas and belief systems based on how other people see us. And that's the thing. It's like something that society has built, and it's something that we've learned from an early age. And you know, I talked about in one of my other readings not too long ago, and I say Gabor Mate, like that's how I say his name, but I guess I heard it was Gabor Mate. So however you say his name, he's a famous psychologist, and he's famous for writing The Myth of Normal. And I showed the book, because I have it right here. I showed the book on one of my other readings, and it's this energy where we are more into staying attached than we are staying authentic. And even as adults, because of that programming that we received as children, where when we tried to speak our truth, or when we tried to say something to stand up for ourselves, or when we tried to set a boundary and we were chastised, we were judged, we were humiliated, we were given silent treatment, or we were just cast aside is what I'm getting here. It's like there's something there. Every one of us chose attachment over authenticity. And so it was a learned response, a learned reaction from a very early age. And that became cemented over and over again as we continued to grow, where every time we might have tested the boundaries to show our authenticity, and we were then again put through a cycle of judgment. And through that cycle of judgment, we chose the attachment over authenticity until we started learning different patterns. And so that's what Source is saying here. It's like, keep seeking those different patterns and let go of the attachment of how people are seeing you, because ultimately the only thing that matters is how you see yourself. And this is much easier said than done. Please, I understand this. And it's a pattern that you, as you continue to heal from, there's going to be moments where you slide back into it. And it's just being aware of those moments instead of lashing out at yourself or judging yourself for sliding back into those moments. It's about being aware and then making the decision in that moment, in that awareness, instead of fighting it. There's this monk. This guy goes up to the mountains to the monks, and he's like, look, I have had these bad habits and these bad situations that have unfolded in my life for years. And he's like, I've done everything in my power to fight against these bad habits. And the monk smiled at him and he said, this is why you continue to fail, is because you're fighting these habits. He's like, we don't fight our habits. We quietly observe our habits, and then in those moments, we choose to silently dig a trench in a different direction. We don't go against the river, we direct the river. And the man, he went back and he took this monk's wisdom to heart, and he started silently digging new trenches. But when he backslid, he just observed those moments and then made a choice in that moment. Do I keep doing this, or do I choose something different? And no matter what, you just don't beat yourself up. If you continue down the same path, you don't beat yourself up. You just let it unfold and gather as much information as you can from that. And collectively, I feel like this is something that we're still fighting, the old paradigm of being moved to action or blocking ourselves from taking action based on how others are perceiving us. And that makes so much sense as to why this was given to me this morning as a channeled message, because there's something deeper that's going to come out in this reading today. So it might not be focused solely on how others see you. There's going to be deeper messages there. So I just want to preface that as we get into it. And for those of you that have been with me for any amount of time, you know that I have a lot of readings that we have questions that come up. But the reason why these questions come up, or why these topics come up, is because Source has a message to get to you that you otherwise wouldn't have gone and listened to if it was actually named after whatever said situation was. And that's how Source works. Source works with the flow of things, not against the flow of things, not forcing you to choose differently than you normally would, but rather going with the flow and helping you to find resonance with the flow that you're already in, so that you can choose to silently dig trenches somewhere else. Okay, so collectively, how do people see you? We're going to look at the bottom of the deck here. We have Ash Star and Ash Star, Shiren, and Turbo. Friendship requires attention, respect, and harmony. Nurture it. It is very precious. Do not lose touch with your friends. So mostly people view you as somebody that is easy to approach, somebody that is easy to talk to, and somebody that they want to build a friendship with, somebody that they would like to have a much deeper connection with. But also there's this energy of it being hard to reach you. There's this element of being out of touch is what they're showing me, or they're telling me, but it's not that you're necessarily out of touch like with reality or anything like that. It's just that you might be so focused on healing, or you might be so focused on other things that getting in touch with you is hard. And that's what they're saying, out of touch. Like, your focus isn't necessarily on cultivating richer connections as much as it is cultivating whatever it is that you're creating. Not a bad thing, right? You've lived a lot of your life trying to cultivate connections with others, and that's failed time and time again. And this is a reaction or a response to that, because it's time for you to take care of yourself. But I feel like mostly people want to be your friend, and they're just trying to figure out how they can get closer to you, or how they can open the door so that they can have really consistent connection with you. But that might not ever be a thing that happens because of you really focusing on yourself. And it's not that you're not present when you are there with them. You are very present, but I feel like there's also this element of, after having given so much energy away to everybody and their mom in the past and receiving so little, that now you're in this state of really truly finding self-love and self-care and self-respect. And with that comes absence from others because of tending your own needs first, so that you can be there when other people are around you, so that you can be present when other people are around you. But it's a really beautiful energy to come through. And on this reading as the collective energy, and I love that. It says, the message from Ashtar Sharan is, greetings, my friend. We've known each other for such a long time and have gone through so much together. I mention your name with a smile and with love in my heart when I recount tales of past experiences. The time has now come to renew our friendship. Remember the great feeling that a friendship nourished by the purest love brings, a clear and unsullied love free of conditions or judgment. I accept you as you are, and you accept me as I am, and that's how it always was and always will be. Create such friendships with the people around you, and you will be one of the richest beings in the universe, and you will also find and bring peace. Since the creation of his soul, Ashtar Sharan has been connected with a dragon called Turbo. And Turbo says, once upon a time, many years ago, all the knowledge of Lemuria and Atlantis was stored in the scales on my body. I now bring this knowledge to you and the people who are open to receiving it. Take in and absorb this knowledge of pure technologies, even if you are no scientist. Carry it in your light body, and you will one day pass it on to someone who can make use of it. Meditate, call Ashtar Sharan to me and me to you, and allow us to store this knowledge in your light body for a time. It will be a great help and an act of friendship toward the earth. So definitely light worker energy and earth angel energy here, starseed energy coming through, vibrating at a much higher frequency after having dealt with this very low frequency planet, right? It's a very heavy, dense energy that we're in here on earth. And after having dealt with that coming from a higher vibrational state, it has been really hard for you to continue to love people the way that you used to. Now that love has altered, but it's also becoming more pure. And that's something that a lot of people have noticed, because it's like, even though you're not always accessible, when you are, you're 100% in. And that's how people see you. They see you as someone they can rely on. They see you as someone they can trust. And while you might not be the first person that they call on their phone when they have a flat tire, they know that if they need someone to vent to, or someone to discuss something with, or even to offer their own shoulder, they can with you. And they appreciate that. And that's something they're truly grateful for, because you're a real one. And that's what I keep hearing. You're a real one. What a beautiful message. I'm so proud of you guys. Yay. All right, let's get this set up. And you know what I will say in this is that just keeping that in mind as we move forward, you know, it's beautiful to get these messages as we do, but also remembering that Source has such powerful messages for you in other ways with the tarot, if you're willing to open up to those other messages. But that's why things are set up this way. At least on my channel, Source knows that I'm going to follow the energy. I'm not going to force the question. That's just not how I've done things with Source. That's not how I learned how to channel with Source. And so it's going to be like that. So if you ever get frustrated, just know that that's why I've prefaced all of my readings with what I do and how that's different, because I'm not here to force questions. Right? I'm here to allow Source to bring the message, and Source knows best, knows way better than I do. All right. So pile 1, we do have this dice with the South node on it for you to choose from. Or we have this beautiful piece of lapis lazuli. Pile number 2, we have this dice with Venus on it. We have this beautiful moonstone for you to choose from. Pile number 3, we have this dice with South Node also that came out. Or we have this smoky quartz for you to choose from. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Whichever pile you felt called to, that should be the one for you. And I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the South Node on it, or perhaps you felt called to this piece of lapis lazuli, or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on how do people see you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, there might be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. The messages resonate with you. It'd mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you, hold on, I apologize. I just lost my train of thought. We're gonna get there. Just know that your energy, your time, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you today. So I do feel like when you enter the room, like I just totally blanked on what it was that I was saying, right? And I've said that intro so many times. I know it by heart. I've said it so many times, and so it's odd. But I'm human too, and I make mistakes. With that though, I feel like for me to blank out totally like that, it's just showing that how people view you. When you enter a room, they're actually not sure what to think at first. You know, like they have to gather their thoughts because they're absolutely, like, you're breathtaking, or you just command so much energy. Your presence is so strong. They lose their train of thoughts. They're focused on you. You might notice like people actually stop and everybody turns and stares at you. Everybody turns and is watching you. Or you might see that people have this tendency, like they're showing me like at a grocery store, where if you're walking down certain aisles, you might be going to all different aisles around the store. Somehow suddenly there'll be a few people who you're in those same aisles with, no matter where you're going, and there's no rhyme or reason to what it is that you're getting at the store, but all of a sudden there'll be like 2 or 3 people who you end up in the same aisle with them every time, or they end up in the same aisle with you. And it's because they're drawn to you magnetically, like they can't help themselves. They're very drawn to you. They're very they're almost completely mesmerized by your energy. So they want to bask in it. And I don't think that they're intentionally following you. They might be, but that's not what I'm getting. It's as if their energy is just kind of making them do these things where suddenly they're like, oh, I have to go down this aisle. Suddenly I have to go down this aisle. So they're not like consciously aware of it, but that's what it is. It's like but when they see you, their thoughts are on you. Their thoughts are like, oh, look, here's pile 1. Oh, look, there they are again. You might notice this after seeing them 2 or 3 times, like they stop and they smile and they're like, how are you doing today? They actually go out of their way to talk to you. It's because they're very awestruck by you. All right, how do people see you, pile 1? How do people see you, Source? What would you like to share with pile 1 today? How do people see you? Yeah, 3rd house. We have Venus energy. Yeah, very attractive. And Sagittarius. I was going to say Saturn, which is interesting that Saturn was going to come out. Because I feel like you just have a hard time being around a lot of people. Maybe because sometimes you feel like you are getting swarmed by people and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Like going to concerts or going to festivals or even going to like little, you know, those little shows that they have, or going to the mall or going out to the grocery store. Like you might actually order a lot of stuff online because it's just really hard to be around a lot of people, or you might just forego those types of entertainments altogether because being around that many people is just too overwhelming for you, which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And I always suggest, like, if that's something that is really affecting you, to make sure that you put on, you know, I call it the spiritual suit. And I just imagine putting on this universal suit at the beginning of my day, and then I take it off at the end of the day. But within this spiritual suit, it's infused with whatever light I need that day, right? So whether it's healing light, whether it's the light of strength, the light of courage, the light of self-love, the light of love to give to others, you know, whatever it is. But I ask Source to keep me protected with the suit. And then at the very end of the day, I give the suit to Source. And I'm like, here, go ahead and I'm giving it to you for dry cleaning. Right? And that's how I act about it. And so I always give it to Source at the end of the day. And I let Source handle whatever it is. So all those energies are attracted to the suit instead of to me personally. And that's something that's helped, because I understand the going out and being in huge crowds is really overwhelming. It doesn't mean that I still don't get tired or a little bit overwhelmed from it, but it definitely helps. And the energy is not so overwhelming where as soon as I come and sit down, like I'm passing out because I just have been absorbing so much energy. Now I can still function after big events like that, where before I was absolutely unable to function. So that's just something that's coming through for you, pile 1, that you might benefit from if you're not already doing something along those lines, okay? But with Saturn, I feel like that's coming out. Like I said, you didn't get Saturn, but it wanted to come out, because I feel like that's something that you struggle with, is just being around a lot of people because people have been unkind towards you, or they've judged you, or they've ridiculed you, or they've created barriers and blockages for you, or they have tried to be very controlling or dismissive even of you, and that's really hard. And so it's like, for people to be that magnetized to your energy, it's almost like you're like, oh, why? Like, I don't want that. And also, the more you don't want that, the more it's going to persist. And so just accepting it and letting it go, that will help as well. But with this dice, we have this energy where it's like people like listening to you talk. People are really magnetized to the way that you communicate things. So you might not talk a whole lot, but when you do talk, people are listening. And it might not even be the person that you're talking to that's listening. It's people around. They listen to you. They hear what you're saying. They like to hear what you're saying because you're very playful. You're very wise. You're very knowledgeable and even adventurous. There's something very adventurous about you. Like, everything that you do, you enjoy. And while that might not be true, that's how they see you, as somebody who really enjoys everything. Like, you're somebody who walks in with the biggest smile on your face. And I feel like you wave at a lot of people, or you say hi to a lot of people, because that's part of maybe your upbringing, or just you want to be that person that is the loving person. And so it's just natural for you. If somebody catches your eye, you're going to acknowledge them. You might not say much. You might just say hi, or you might give them a head nod. but it's like, I do feel like you're very, very much present with each person that's coming into your life. And people are really drawn to that naturally. And so even people who are very off-putting in general, like people who don't wave back or people who feel like they're glaring at you, like they're still mesmerized by your energy, and they're like, oh, that person's having a lot of fun, even if they're natural grouches, right? It doesn't mean that they're taking it out on you or, you know, whatever like that, or they're trying to take it out on you. It's just sometimes people are just naturally grouchy. And I feel like the thing is that you've been through so much hardship, you know, and I've told people this before, and it still stands true. I still feel like this gets validated time and time again, is that the people who have the biggest smiles are the ones who carry the biggest burdens. And I feel like that's also very true of you. So even if you don't necessarily go out of your way to acknowledge people, you still walk around with a smile on your face or a very approachable face. And you're not like trying to push people away because you don't like that. You don't like when people push you away. And so when people see you, they're very attracted to you. They're very magnetized by your energy, and they feel like you're a very attractive person. Like you're very beautiful, you're very good looking, you're very handsome, you're very approachable, you're very easygoing. And through that, they have ascertained that you are somebody who is friendly and amicable and very easy to get along with. And so there are people who might go out of their way to try to contact or connect with you, and the reason they do is because they're very drawn to your energy. You also look very young, like you do not wear your age at all, I feel, and that's something that really baffles people. So if they do get close to you and they're like, you know, maybe it's someone who is the same age as you, but they're wearing their age. So I don't know, say like you're 60. This is just an example, right? Say that you're 60, but you look like you're in your late 30s, early 40s, right? Like you just don't wear your age at all. And so someone who's maybe the exact same age as you, was born in the same year as you, and they're like, oh, you're probably too young to remember that. And you kind of chuckle and you're like, oh, you'd be surprised. I'm probably as old as you are. And they'll be like, no, you're not. I was born in this year. And you're like, really? Me too. And they're like, what? No way. And they're like so shocked by it. And it's because you don't wear your age. And it's because you've done so much healing, you know, and healing helps us to release our age and how we look. So I feel like that's something why people are so mesmerized by you as well, because they think that you're this very young and knowledge. And you could be, I mean, you could be on here and being 20 years old, but you still have the wisdom of somebody who's lived 10 lifetimes, right? And you still don't wear your age. Like you might be 20 years old and people are thinking you're 16. And so, you know what I mean? Like that's why it's just baffling. I feel like you seem very young to have all this wisdom and knowledge, and they really, really appreciate that too. Well, let's get some more out here. All right. How do people see you? Source, what would you like to share with pile one? How do people see you? I keep seeing 1, 2, 3 for you too. That's a sign of progressions. I feel like that's a confirmation for somebody who needs it. You are on the right path to keep going. Don't give up on yourself, especially if things are getting hard. Just kind of coming in really strongly right now. How do people see you, pile one? Thank you. Yeah, very mysterious, abundant. You have a rich personality, very charismatic. How do people see you? Okay. How do people see you? How do people see you? Thank you. Bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Wands in the reverse. Interesting. You got two. You began with an ace and you're ending with an ace, both in the reverse. Let's see what we've got here. Judgment. Yeah. So I just want to point out that you might resonate with the collective reading that I did at the beginning, which you'll find timestamp in the description box below. If you feel called to it, you're more than welcome to. No obligation. When we see coming through here, how people see you. When when they see you, they're unclear about who you are. They're misguided, like they have pre-ordained or pre-whatever judgments, right? They're thinking they've seen somebody like you in the past and, oh, that person was this way or that person was this way. You know how people have a name? Like if you have a name, Jackie was the name when I was growing up, like anybody that was named Jackie was just like supposedly this awful person, which is wild because I knew Jackies and none of the Jackies that I knew ever fit that description, but that was just like around the time that I was growing up in elementary school, like it is for Karens now. But if you meet all Karens, like not all Karens act like a Karen, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of like this already judgment that they have based on how you look or how your energy is or how you're approaching people or how they see you out in public. And so they don't want to change that idea of how they see you, but they can't help but see something different with you just based on being near you. Yeah. There's also a lot of people who are immediately romantically attracted to you. You guys see that fly that just totally came in? Just wanted to be seen on the on the radio. Okay. I'm with it today, guys. I promise you. I feel like that's exactly what it is, how people are. I can't say the right words right now, and I feel like that's exactly what it is. It's like people can't say the right words when it comes to you. So how they see you, it's just really hard to articulate how they see you because it's like that je ne sais quoi, right? Like there's something there that I want to say, I want to vocalize, but there's not really a word that's enough or that's right for how pile one is. And that's what it feels like right now. And I feel like it's because people are so impacted by your presence. It's not just how you look, it's your presence. It's like getting smacked in the face with spiritual energy all the time. And it's not a bad thing. And being affected by that and not knowing quite what that is, right? It's something that's beneath the surface. And so when people meet you and talk to you, or people have an opportunity to chat with you, they feel guilty because all of a sudden they realize that I totally gave up a shot at just letting pile one be who pile one is and showing me who pile one is. And they feel really bad about that. But it's because of those prior judgments or those beliefs that they have based on someone who looks like you, or based on someone who walks like you, based on someone who dresses like you, right? It's like these prior judgments that they have that they're like, oh, everybody fits into that cliche idea, right? Like all Karens are Karens, right? And that's not true. That's, you know, it's just basically saying I'm going to give you a blanket idea or blanket judgment before I ever get to know you. But then when they do get to know you, they immediately feel bad and guilty about that. And they realize that they were totally misguided and they were unclear about not only you, but then they stop and they think about how many other people they've judged in this way. And maybe their judgments aren't all off base, but we should never go in meeting people with just a predetermined judgment on who they are, who they're going to be, because all we're doing is setting ourselves up for failure. And we're also setting them up for failure, which is really unfair, right? It's like we're rigging the game. Like, you're going to disappoint me. And then we're like not surprised when they disappoint us because we've already said that they were going to. We never gave them a chance to just show up how they were because we went in with this weird energy. It was like, oh, you're going to disappoint me. But because you're more connected to yourself and more focused on yourself, you're not really trying to fit into anybody else's idea of who you're supposed to be. You're just trying to make it through your day and focus on your journey and focus on yourself. And that healing has brought with it this shield that deflects or reflects that energy back to people. And so they do judge you at first, but then they feel really bad about judging you. And there's also people who are really romantically attracted to you but they feel like you're out of their reach, like that you're out of their league. And in many cases, you probably are. And there's some here where they want to approach you, but that state of awe leaves them where they're not sure of what to say. Like they feel like everything that they would say to you would just be wrong. Like they'd make a total, complete, utter fool of themselves. And so instead of making a fool of themselves, they just say nothing at all, which is unfortunate too, because they miss an opportunity to meet someone who's really beautiful and really amazing. And whether it's romantic or not, right? Like whether it would ever move forward as romantic or not, they're just missing this opportunity to really connect with somebody who's incredible. And I feel like that's something too they realize after the fact. Man, I should have just said hi. Like what's wrong with just saying hi, right? So you do leave people stunned, very stunned and unsure of themselves. I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for your energy either, pile one. I feel like you are always questioning whether you're enough, or you might like fidget a lot with your clothes or your hair or like your makeup. You're always reapplying makeup, or you're always like, if you've got a beard or facial hair, like you're always messing with your facial hair, or if your nails, you know, like you're always picking at your nails or always trying to redo your nails. Like you're always trying to have a certain aesthetic, and that's fine. I feel like you've attached yourself to this aesthetic and you're not looking beyond the surface at your energy. And that's what Source wants you to focus more on, is your energy, because it's not your aesthetic that attracts people, it's your energy that attracts people. That's what's so magnetic about you. So you could be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces with spirituality, emotion, intuition, and compassion. This feels like confirmation as to what I was feeling earlier when I felt like they were just getting smacked in the face with spiritual energy. And I feel like that's exactly how people are when they're around you. They're almost comatose or catatonic because they're being hit with this unconditional love that they don't know what to do with. Okay, I just have to mention my dog. She is sleeping on the bed over there and she heard a sound outside and she lifted her head up, and she has floppy ears, and she's part pit. She still has her tail. She still has her ears. Nothing's clipped. She's all natural. She's absolutely beautiful. She's a brindle. And she lifted her ears up and one of her ears was sticking straight up in the air. It's just so random. But it was cute. She's just like, her ears went up, but one ear was up and floppy, and the other ear was just sticking straight up in the air because it was stuck. However, she was laying, just had it stuck. And so I feel like that's the thing. Like people, they see you and they get all wonky when they see you. Like something that's funny, and they feel insecure when they see you. But also, I feel like you also feel insecure in some situations, and that's why like you're feeling like, oh, I'm the one that's out of place. But I actually feel like you're feeling that vibe come back to you where people are like, I'm the one that's insecure. I'm the one that's out of place. Like, look at how confident and composed pile one is. And inside you're a nervous wreck. You're like, oh my gosh, like whether they're looking at my shirt's weird, my tie is all funky, you know, like my glasses are crooked or something like that. It's because you're feeling all of that energy onto you. And it's because you make people feel insecure about themselves. Like they want to impress you. Yeah, house 8, transformation, karma, facing fears and legacies. Okay, so again, that fears energy is coming in, and that's something that's pretty obvious. There are people who are jealous and envious of you. That's going to happen no matter where you go. But also there's a sense of transformation here. Like you leave people transformed when you are no longer around, right? When you leave the building. Pile one has left the building, and the building will be forever changed. And that's true. That's just how it is. All right. Yeah, life is speeding up. It feels like people are monitoring how fast you're going in life, or they feel like you're light years ahead of them. That's what I was saying earlier too. Like you appear incredibly young, but you're so much further ahead than they are. And so if you, like, say you're 40, right, and people think you're in your 20s, which feels awesome, right? It does. When someone's like, oh, you're as old as my daughter, and you're like, really? How old's your daughter? And they're like, oh, you know, she's 25, and you're like, wow, thanks. And they're like, yeah, aren't you that age too? And you're like, no, I actually just turned, 35, or I actually just turned 45. And they're like, no way. I thought you were the same age as my kid. And you're like, yeah, no. But at first they think like you're not as experienced. And then all of a sudden they realize like, oh no, this is coming from experience. But they still feel like you're light years ahead of them. How do people see you? A martyr. Learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause. And the shadow is addiction to self-pity. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people have this self-pity, like, oh, I'm not as far as pile one, or I'm not as good as pile one, or I'm not as beautiful or as attractive as pile one. And right now you're in this process of really trying to devote yourself either to self-love, right? Or maybe self-love and something that's important to you, like helping the world. I was saying you definitely give off light worker energy for sure. Starseed energy, earth angel energy. So I do feel like you are working to help raise the vibration, and that's something that you're focused on, and that's something that shows, right? Like you wear it no matter where you go. And people are impacted by that. All right. How do people see you? Pile one. Thank you, source. Bottom of the deck. Loyalty with red crown crane. They see you as someone who's very loyal. Loyal to your cause. Loyal to your friends. Loyal to yourself. Loyal to your mission. They just see you as a very loyal person. Someone that's very easy to count on. Didn't I say that? I think I said that in your pile. Like, they might not call you if they needed a tire change, but they would definitely call you. That might have been in the collective message too, but that same energy is coming in. Like, they might not call you for a tire change, but they'll definitely call you when they need that friend because they know that you'll show up, right? And the reason I say a tire change is because you might not know how to do that, right? People respecting what you do and don't know how to do. Maybe not always, but there are people here who do. Like, they recognize that, you are not someone who's a mechanic, so why would I call you for mechanics work, right? They recognize that you're not a beautician, so why would I call you to paint my nails, right? But I could call you to talk to you, and you would listen and be present, and it would help me work through my things. Or I know that you would just fight for me if I needed you to. And that's rare. It's not a common thing. So I'm going to be using these ones today too, which is the messages from your animal spirit guide oracle. This is by Steve D. Farmer, this deck. This is a very blunt deck though, so we're just going to get some blunt messages too. We've got Chameleon. Stay in the background and adapt to the situation rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. And as much as I would like to say that you do blend in, right? What is it? Come a chameleon. You're not, like, you stand out everywhere you go. And I feel like you have this internal feeling like you have to blend in everywhere you go. And that's why you might worry about how you look or your aesthetics or how you're coming across. But there's no blending in for you. You do stand out wherever you go. And people are trying to blend in with you. Like, they want to be on the same par as you, and they know that they can't, but they're trying to learn what they can. And it's not, I mean, some of it, again, is from jealousy, but I feel like most people are just realizing, they're recognizing the love that you're coming from, and they're recognizing that self-respect, it wears well on you, right? And they want that too. Yeah, Rhino Spirit, overcome any obstacle with 50. That's why Saturn came out too. This is something you've been overcoming, is putting yourself out there, like allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be authentic. And it is showing. People are being impacted by it in a positive way. People are also recognizing that, oh my gosh, I'm not as authentic as I thought I was. And that's something else too. So they're working on that as well. But I feel like when they see you, they see somebody who has blossomed into this beautiful flower, or this lotus flower that's unfolded from a very difficult life or a very difficult situation. But they only recognize that when they hear you talk and they hear you spread your wisdom. Yeah, a healer. This does not surprise me at all. Passion to serve others, right? Service to others with a martyr too. So passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. The shadow is taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. So you're a healer. And people feel that whenever you enter a room. And so people do see, I think they sense that definitely on a spiritual level. I can't say that they see that from you, but they do sense it. You know, like seeing a healer is different because not everybody is necessarily out there looking like, is this person healing me? Is this person healing? Like, not everybody's looking at it like that. And so I do feel like they are definitely impacted by you in a very positive way. And they are forever changed after they see you. Whether they talk to you or not, they're still forever changed. Horse with freedom. Number 24, which is 6. So we have 5 and 6 coming together. And I said I saw 1, 2, 3 coming out as well for you. So there's this sense of progression where you're moving into a state of freedom. Freedom from confining energy. Freedom from feeling like you have to be what others tell you to be. Freedom from these old belief habits that kept you in maybe self-sabotaging energy as well. And that freedom is showing, and it's a bright light everywhere you go. This is also that spiritual energy. It's like people are actually peeking into the divinity within you. They're peeking into the divine realm that resides within you. And that's another reason why they're healed, why they're changed, why they're impacted by it in such a profound way, because you're wearing that freedom. It's like instead of wearing your heart on your sleeve, which you do, but you're also wearing the freedom on your sleeve. And that's something that's even more impactful because it's not common for people to wear that on their sleeves. Right? Polar bear, stand up for yourself, speak your truth respectfully and compassionately with no attachment to the outcome. Okay, for sure, you might really resonate with the collective message because the attachment came up in the collective message that we talked about. It was something really strong that hit me right before I even showed the card. It was so intense. But the thing is here is that you definitely say what's on your mind and you say what you need to say and you move in and move out. But I do feel like you still fight with times of people pleasing, or that's something that you feel like you're backsliding into. But are you really backsliding into people pleasing tendencies, or are you embracing a more authentic, compassionate version of yourself while still knowing how to set boundaries, right? And that's something you can ask yourself and observe as you're moving throughout your day. But people recognize this. And also with both of the last cards coming out being white, right? You have the white polar bear and you have the white horse, which they're not common. White horses are not common, but they're beautiful and they're absolutely breathtaking when they come out. Polar bears are also incredibly breathtaking. They're quite frightening if you were to ever come face to face with one, right? That'd be absolutely terrifying. But there's a sense of purity that's coming with that. A sense of innocence as well, with an unwavering strength. And this also, like, when you think of a wild stallion, right? Like, 'cause that's coming to mind right now. It's like thinking of a wild stallion. It's like they run free. They're untethered to anything. It's just them and the open world around them. And I'm hearing that Dixie Chick songs. Wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest face. She knows the highest face. She knows the highest face. Yeah, so there's something here about where, like, you know a lot of people in high places, but it's like you're always looking for room to grow. And so it's like, even if you don't know people in high places, like, you're perceived as somebody who knows famous people, or you know someone who knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, right? Like, that's how you're seen, as somebody who can get to a famous person or has connections with somebody who has connections. But I do feel like standing up for yourself is something you do regularly, and also that you're inspiring others to do so as well. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. Sun God and Ezra, free yourself from lies and deceptions and live your truth. Shine in your own light. Other people's truths are of no use to you. Yeah, so this also came out, I'm just going to repeat this. This came out in the collective message as well. Source has a tendency to use, at least through me, to use these types of questions to not lure people in. That sounds so weird, but it might feel like you're being lured in and then you're not getting exactly what you came for. But the reason being is because Source knows that this is going to be something that you click on. And when you get to this end, you're going to realize like, oh, like these messages actually do resonate with me, or there's something that I'm taking away from this, right? And the reason why Source does that is because we talked about it. There's no sense in going against the stream, right? Source will always find the most flowing energy to follow. And so if you have a tendency to look at these types of readings, that's why these messages might pop up in some of these readings where it's like absolutely nothing to do with the reading itself or the question that was asked. It's kind of going on a tangent, but that's the energy that's coming from. And so I do feel like the thing here, again, we do see where you present this very powerful energy with I believe the sun god here is on fire. But also the thing is that letting yourself let go of the worry about how other people are perceiving you and to stand empowered in yourself is going to be super beneficial to you moving forward. As a healer, it wouldn't surprise me if you were very empathic and you naturally pick up on other people's energies, and you may also struggle at times for what is really mine versus what is someone else's. And I'll mention this, I've mentioned this to a lot of clients as well, is that it's good to do the fire meditation where you take a candle and you sit in a dark room with the candle and you put your eye on the candle and you merge yourself with the candle, especially as an empath. This is something that's very easy for us to do, is merge ourselves with other things. And then you merge yourself with the flame, but then also find where you end and where the flame begins, or where the flame ends and where you begin. So merge yourself, separate yourself, merge yourself, separate yourself. And that way then you'll get used to feeling what's not your actual energy, instead of assuming that everything is our energy, which is very easy to do for an empath. And so that's why it's like, free yourself from the lies and deception and live your truth. Let yourself shine. Let yourself be seen. That's why we were getting at the beginning of the reading as well, this energy of like, there's a reluctance to go out and be seen, but it's necessary for you to be seen and to stand empowered in your own truth. So let's see what this says from the book. Okay, a message from the sun god. Hear me, feel me. I invite you to visit me. Be welcome in my holy halls. Here you will find your truth, because near me all lies burn and are consumed. Search for your truth, even if you may sometimes feel the path is too difficult. Believe me, living a lie is far more unbearable path. Day after day I send you my light. Day after day I send you my wisdom. Accept the light and feel my power. Feel my love for you and for all of life that surrounds you. I give you the power and a light that will now take you further along your path. The name of the golden dragon of the sun god is Ezra. He is one of the leaders among the dragons. And that's interesting because I do feel like you're definitely a light worker, right? Here to share your light, here to shine your love with others. And people do feel that. They see that from you. A message from Ezra. I am light, I am protection, I am life. Say my name and feel my power. Take your fill of me and it will set you free, freedom, and lead you to your truth. All lower energies burn up in my light, and the pure light-filled magic of your being will awaken. Truth is personal and individual. You will not find it outside of yourself, neither in the scriptures nor in the world of others. Your truth grows within you. Wow, what a powerful message. Super powerful. So remember, seek the truth within you, and that it's not going to come from how people perceive you or how people see you out there. It's all about how you see yourself. It's all about how you respect and love and admire and treat yourself. That's where your truth can be cultivated and learn to grow. It's allowing your inner child to trust that part of you where you're always going to show up and defend yourself instead of letting other people determine, decipher how you show up in the world. And so that's why this message came through today. Very, very powerful energy here. You possess a very powerful energy as well. And I know, pile one, that the more that you tap into that internal power, the more you're going to shine even brighter than you already do. And it's just trusting that you're allowed to take up space with this energy, and trusting also that you're allowed to let this light shine regardless of how it affects others or regardless of how others perceive you or see you. You're allowed to have this light because it's yours and yours alone. No one else was given this light. Everyone else's light is their light to have, theirs to hold, and theirs to explore. So trust that it is okay for you to be free to let your light be seen, okay? So this is what I see for you today. If you felt like this was your message, leave a little sun emoji down below and say, today I embrace my inner light. I allow myself to shine. I allow myself to exist. I allow myself to be free to be me. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spiritual messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this powerful message. And until next time, pile number one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Venus, I was going to say Uranus, but it's actually Venus. Perhaps you felt called to this moonstone. Or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on how do people see you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We do things differently here, so if the message does happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. There may be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. Please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be sharing them here with you today. So I was actually, when we first were setting up the piles and I was doing the pick a pile, I didn't mention this, but I did get a very strong channeled message for you. And that was that there's this feeling like people are taking something from you, or there's this feeling like you're taking something from people. So you may get your energy from people, or you may get your energy by interacting with people. You may be very extroverted. You don't have to be, but you could also feel like very fulfilled by loving people and giving that love to people, or sharing something with people, like your wisdom. And so there's a lot of people who feel like they're afraid that they've drained you, or they're afraid that they're taking too much and not giving back to you. Or this is something that you have that's going on internally as well, right? And so that's being mirrored back to you from others. But it's very clear that Source is saying not to worry, because what you give, you will get returned tenfold. And remember that it's not about what you're getting back. It's about that intention being returned, right? It's not about how it comes. It's about the intentions behind it. And that's what's more important than what you're receiving. So there's like some sort of focus here. And maybe there's this also, why this is coming up is because people see you as an answered prayer, or they see you as a blessing coming in, where it's like they've asked for guidance, or they've asked for help, or they've asked for an answer to something. And you might just carry that answer with you and give it when you go out and about. And it might not even be something that you realize you're giving an answer to, but there's some sort of blessing, or there's some sort of like fulfillment here that's coming through as well. It's like you're almost as if you're afraid, like, oh, I've taken up too much of their time, or, you know, like, I'm just talking needlessly about this, or I'm just talking about that, or I'm just sharing something, and why am I even sharing this to begin with? Like, there's some sort of worry or trepidation here about you going out and just being yourself. It's like, oh, I said the wrong thing, or you might grab onto something that you said and just like roll it around in your mind so many times. Like, well, what if I had said this instead? Or what if I said that instead? But that's not how people see it. People are seeing you as somebody that is giving them a gift, an answer, a blessing, a message, light, love. They're receiving something from you that they value. It's very intuitive driven. And so you have a gift that you might not even be aware of. Or you could be aware of it, but being aware of it and being aware of when it's actually being activated are two different things. Oftentimes our gifts are activated when we're not even aware of it. You know, even I can mention that too, like being in the state that I'm in. Like, I'm up here, I'm doing tarot. I do tarot on a regular basis. I've been tapping into my intuition for so long. Like, I know what it is to tap into my intuition. I know what it is to tap into my psychic abilities, into my psychic medium abilities. Like, I know what that feels like. But there are still times when source moves through me without my awareness. And so I just don't question it anymore, right? We can't question it, because the more we question it, the more we put ourselves into this big old knot and we get worried about it. But there's like some sort of like worrying here. Oh, I just heard you would benefit from a worry stone. And if you're not sure what that is, you can definitely check it out online. Just type in a worry stone and you can pick whatever gemstone you're called to. They make them in all gemstones. You might really be called to getting a worry stone that is a moonstone. That might really help you as well, and help you really trusting your intuition. Okay, so that was the channel message that I received for you, pile 2. But let's find out more. How do people see you, pile 2? How do people see you? Source, what would you like to share with pile number 2? Interesting. We've got the second house, Taurus energy, and the South Node. And the South Node actually came out for pile 1 and 3 to choose from, but you have it coming out in your reading. I always roll the dice. Like, I never pick anything. It's just whatever source wants to come through is what comes through, because that's how it is. So it's interesting that you're the one that got South Node. I mean, we don't know about pile 3 just yet, so. But how people see you, yeah, there's something here about you helping them surrender a part of their past that they otherwise weren't able to. So with South Node, like, it feels like it's negative, right? But it's not. It's what teaches us some incredible lessons if we allow it to. And I feel like you're maybe a walking shaman, or yeah, my body is going wild right now. Like, I'm like itchy all over. Like, my head is itchy, but my ears and like my arms were itchy, and like, so I'm feeling like a lot of body sensations with you. I'm also feeling like I need to move. Like, there's a little bit of pent-up energy here. Like, I need to go and run around the block a few times so that I can get this energy out, because I feel like I'm talking a million miles fast. Like, this is how I feel like right now. And so there's a lot of energy where you're constantly, maybe you talk really fast, or maybe you just feel like you talk a lot, or maybe you feel like you take up too much people's time. And you see it as a bad thing, but people see it as a gift to letting go of something that has been very burdensome for a long time. And there's maybe you sharing your stories, your personal experiences. Maybe you're just sharing things that you've learned, or I just heard somebody's really into astrology, and so you will lead with astrology. Like, you might ask people, what's your sign? And people are like, that's the worst pickup line ever. And you're like, no, I really want to know what your sign is. Like, I'm really interested in astrology. And so it might have become a joke or something like that. But people are like, oh, you're really into that stuff? And you're like, yeah. And then you get people's signs, or you like notice certain houses that they have, and you're able to tell them things about that house, or you're able to tell them things about that sign that is in that house, or that planet that's in that house, or, you know, how it all plays out together. Like, you're having troubles with your father, or you're having troubles with your marriage, or you're having troubles with your siblings, and it's all because of astrology. And people are like, wow, I never believed in it before, and you just showed me that, like, because that's real, that really resonates with me. That's not just some generic response. And you're like, no, like, that's really what this means, or like maybe you read tarot, or maybe you are just very intuitive. Like, again, you're picking up on messages like, oh, you know, like, let me share you this story about this time when I had this X in my life and they did XYZ, and they're like, oh my gosh, that goes in line with what I'm going through right now. And you're like, well, that's kind of random. But is it really random? It's not. And so there's something about the way that you present yourself. You're like the loyal, I just heard the loyal faithful. That's what came through, the loyal faithful. You're somebody who's very faithful. You rely on your faith to get you through life, but you also question it a lot because there's just things about you that maybe you've been judged as being too much, or you haven't been received well by others. And there's a lot of people, when they first see you, at first they might think that you're somebody that's very like very posh is the word that's coming through. But then when they actually interact with you, or if they see you interact with other people, they recognize there's something more to you than just being outwardly impressive. There's something very spiritual that's easing and calming and very comforting about you. And so they're very drawn to that, and they feel like you're incredibly attractive. And there is an energy that's coming in where someone's like, I am not attractive at all. I just heard that so loud right now. I am not attractive at all. I hate that people call me attractive because I know I'm not attractive. Like, this is coming in so loud right now. Please understand, like, we're our own worst judges. We're our own worst critics, and we're our own worst enemies. So seeing ourselves through the eyes of another person, especially a person who loves us, is incredibly challenging because we see all our flaws. And maybe you grew up being called ugly, or maybe you grew up being called, you know, like weird or different, or you don't belong, or your skin's too dark, your skin's too light, your skin's this, your eyes are this, your nose is that, your ears are this way. Like, I feel like these are things that you see as flaws that other people find incredibly endearing and very pleasing to look at, or very pleasing to see, because it's a reminder that beauty doesn't have to be what's just on the movies, or what's on TV, or what is on magazines, or even what's on social media. There's a lot of people who do, you know, there's people who do airbrushing, there's people who use filters, there's people who are only showing their best possible sides, and we're not actually seeing the real of people. And so we're judging ourselves against something that only happens once in a blue moon. Right? Funny you picked so once in a blue moon with the moonstone here. Yeah, it's not something that happens often, but it's like they're showing it as if it's a normal occurrence for them to just wake up out of bed looking this way, and it's not. And so the judgments that you have against yourself is actually not things that most people are judging. They see that as something they can relate to, like, oh, look, this beautiful person is somebody who has such a beautiful light to, they're very loving, and I can relate to them. I feel like I can connect with them in that way. And so you bring them a sense of comfort, a sense of ease about their own appearance, or about their own self, something they judged harshly about themselves. So please don't sit here and say that you're ugly, because you're not. Nobody is ugly. Even people that you might think are ugly. Remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it's vastly different for everybody. And honestly, I just watched this video with this dad, and I wish I knew the name of the creator. I don't. It was one of those ones, you know how like sometimes creators share others, like they build a channel around positivity, and so they're sharing like everybody else's videos that have gone viral or whatever. But it popped up, and it was this little girl. He never showed his girl on the camera, but he had the camera on him, and she was in the seat, and she said, Daddy, you know, at school today I didn't have a good day because one of my classmates, he came up to me and he said, you're dark and you're ugly. And she's like, and I thought that was really mean. And she's not very old. I mean, she sounded like she was 5 or 6, very young. And he was so taken aback, and he's like, wait, he said that you're dark, and because you're dark, you're ugly. And she said, yeah, and I don't know what to do, Dad. And so he's like, okay, well, first of all, he's like, you're dark because your mom is Japanese, and I'm half, whatever he said he was, he's like, I'm half white and half this. And he's like, and I'm dark, so you're dark because daddy's dark. And he's like, but that doesn't make you ugly. He's like, and the second thing is that if somebody says that to you, he's like, the main thing to take away from this is to not say anything back to that person that's mean. Like, don't try to throw it back at them. He's like, that's not going to serve you. And he's like, but I want you to know that no matter what that kid said, he's like, don't take it seriously. Don't listen to what he has to say. And she said, okay, I won't. Like, she was taking everything he was saying and like, this is total gold star parenting in my book. And then he told her, he said, I want you to know that you're my beautiful princess and that I think everything about you is wonderful. And he's like, that's what matters. And she goes, okay, thanks, Dad. And it was like he had calmed down the situation. He listened to her concerns. He validated how she felt. And then he explained to her what she can do moving forward. And I feel like that was so important for him to say, like, don't throw it back at him. But I feel like that's not something that you've been through yourself. Like, people have thrown things at you, their own insecurities at you. But you have to remember that that's not what matters. Like, their insecurities are their insecurities. They don't have to be your insecurities, okay? Because you have something beautiful that you offer people. You help them let go of hurts. You help them let go of fears. You help them let go of their own insecurities. Like, you help them feel like they belong. And that's so much more powerful than how we aesthetically look on this planet. Our meat suit is so finite, right? It's something that it's born, and then we grow, and then we age, and then we leave. We die, right? It's so finite. But what isn't finite is the soul, the light that's within. That's something that shines brighter than our body could ever. So please don't judge yourself based on your outward looks. Look at who you are, because that matters so much more. And I'm not saying this because I actually feel like you're incredibly beautiful. I feel like you're incredibly handsome. Like, I feel like if I were to meet you face to face, I would tell you that to your face, not to make you feel good about yourself or anything, because I feel like it's true. I feel like you're very harsh on yourself. You're very judgmental of yourself, but you still do your best to help lift others up. But how people see you is as a blessing, as a gift, as the friend that they didn't know that they needed. So you might also resonate deeply with the collective message that I did at the beginning. How do people see you? Whoa, okay. So these cards just all flipped out. Okay. So I wasn't going to do 4 cards, but since 4 cards came out, I will take them for you, pile 2. Just don't tell pile 1 and 2, okay? All right, so on the bottom, yeah, interesting. We have the 6 of coins in the reverse. Let's see what we've got. Yeah. Yes, okay. Yep, all right. We're getting a bigger picture now. A lot of cups here. A lot of cups, a lot of emotion. This is not necessarily how people view you, and I had mentioned this in the collective reading as well, and so I'll just briefly mention it here. If you don't feel called to watching that, that's fine. Source will use these questions as a means to get you out more important messages sometimes, and so that's why sometimes people are like, well, why isn't that exactly connected to the question that you asked? I'm an energy reader, and so I have to go where the energy goes. That's how Source and I communicate. And so I'm not going to force a question. That's not how I will do things. I will do things how Source is leading me to do things, and that's just how this works. So if you don't want to hear this message, that's fine. You can definitely go and find another reading, and that's okay. But I feel like there's something very important that you need to hear here, because it's coming through very clearly, especially with the 10 of Cups here. You're seen as a leader. People see you as somebody who has a big heart and who loves very deeply. And whether you know it or not, you actually fill up a lot of people's cups. Like, they trust you, they come to you, they feel like you validate them, they feel like you give them the comfort to pour into their purpose, and they look up to you. And you don't have to have an online presence. That's not at all. Like, this is people in the community. This could be your cashier at the grocery store that you go and see every week or every day, depending on how you grocery shop, right? This could be your neighbors. This could be your best friend. This could be your kids' teachers. This could be the principal at the school. Like this does not have to be worldwide. This is also strangers feel this energy coming from you. Incredibly powerful. It's a very powerful energy. And it impacts them, and they feel immediately drawn to you like your family to them. Okay, you are somebody that they always wish that they had in their life. Like they wish that you were their sibling. They wish that you were their mom, their dad, their parent. They wish that you were their child, right? Like, so just however the age differences are here, they really wish that you were a part of their family. They consider you like family. You feel like family. You feel like home. And you feel like that. Almost as if, it's so weird because we were talking about don't compare yourself to the people on TV. But what's coming through is that people see you as though you've manifested from like their favorite sitcoms or their favorite TV shows where there was a really doting father, or there was a really present mother, or there was a really caring sibling that always stood up for their kid, their siblings, their kid sister, their kid brother, their older brother, their older sister, right? Like, they feel like you've been completely manifested out of this idea that they've had about what it means to be a family member. Okay, and the other thing is that sources being really clear here is that we see that family may have been the one that actually made you feel this way about yourself, right? So again, with the South Node, we look at the past. So family could have made you feel really bad about yourself. They made you feel like you were a burden. They made you feel like you didn't matter. They made you feel like you were no match for whomever it was that they doted on, or whomever it was they gave all their praise to. That could be a sibling, your sibling. That could also be a family, like another family member. That could be a friend of the family. That could be a coworker. That could be somebody famous on TV. Like they always compared you to them. There's this sense of comparison that's coming in, and you're always feeling isolated because I'm compared to this person constantly, or compared to these people constantly. Like I don't feel like I shine on my own, and you don't, not with your family. The reason they compare you is because of that light that emanates from within you. And instead of being healing towards your family, it's a direct mirror to all the traumas and the hardships that they themselves aren't ready to face. And so you are a true leader, Pile 2. People see you as a leader. Strangers see you as a leader, but your family sees you as a threat to the questionable foundation that they've built their lives on. And it's not to make you feel bad. It's just to recognize that they're not ever going to see the light within you. Okay? They're not ever going to see the beauty of who you are. And they're always going to use something that has turned into a trigger as a means to push your buttons. And so facing that and letting that go, letting go of that false idea, letting go of that illusion will actually help strengthen you moving forward. Feeling like you need validation from your family. Like if you went up to them and you said, "Am I beautiful?" And they're like, "No, you're ugly." Like if they just said it outright, right? This is what's coming through. And it's interesting because they're showing me, when I was with my ex, his sister was 20 years younger than him. Okay, so there's this huge age gap between him and his sister. And I used to take care of her. I loved her to death. In fact, I've mentioned this on my podcast, and I think I've mentioned it a couple times on the channel. She was probably one of the reasons why I stayed so long in that ridiculously abusive relationship that I was in, because I fell in love with her. You can't help sometimes but to fall in love with kids. Like it's just, especially when you're in that caregiver energy, right? That's just something that's natural for people who have had hardships, or who just realize, like, I don't want to pass this on to kids, right? And so it's easy to fall in love with kids. Kids are easy to fall in love with. And so I took care of her. I was a parent to her, more than her parent and more than he was to her. But it always really got under my skin because he would always go up to her and say, "Ta fea," which is "you're ugly," in Spanish. And every time he saw her, he would say that to her, "Hey, ta fea." And it was like, no matter what. And I would tell her, I was like, "Tell him no." And I would get really angry for her. I'd be like, you tell him no, and say, I'm beautiful. Because she was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, she's just a beautiful girl. She really is. She's just beautiful. She has a pure heart. She's just friendly. She's a love. She's a snuggle bug. She's all these amazing things. And it just, she's beautiful, right? And so I would always tell her, you tell him no. You tell him I'm beautiful, because I would get mad for her. And so she would always say, no, I'm beautiful. And she would like smack him on the arm and stuff like that. And I laugh because it's just seeing her stand up for herself. It was just, I was so proud of her. And I struggled to stand up for myself against him. But I could tell her to stand up against him, right? And that's what it feels like here, where it's like you're struggling for yourself, but it's easy for you to see where those boundaries have been blurred or crossed with other people. And you are like, hey, don't let people do that to you. Don't let that person do that to you. But then when you go to your own mess at home, right, it's like people are treating you this way, or people are making fun of you, or people are hurting you, or people are making you feel bad, right? And so that's the thing. And it's like I would always tell her, and especially like when I took her to school, because I took her to school and picked her up. And so every morning we started doing affirmations in the car, and I would ask her, what's today? And we had this thing, today is an awesome day because yes, I can. I love school because it's easy. I love math because it's easy. Like we created this whole affirmation thing. I could still recite it to you because we did it every morning on the way to school, and we made it into this big thing. And I would scream at the top of my lungs, it's like, what's today? And so she would scream back to me, today is an awesome day. And it was so funny. And you know, we just like turned it into a good fun time. We wouldn't listen to music, and then sometimes we would, but it was always about, I was trying to make her feel better about herself, because she was in a really, really difficult situation. Like her life situation, her situation with her brother, her situation with her parents, like all of it was just really hard. And I didn't want to add to that. I wanted to create, you know, just an environment where she could look forward to something when we went to school in the morning and on the way home. And so, you know, it's always like part of her affirmation is like, I love that I'm beautiful. And so, you know, like I was just trying to lift her up. And it was when it was just me and her, we had the best of times. Like we played games, we read books, she told me stories, she approached me with all these things. But it was like when the family was around, it was like all of our energy got so haywire, and we couldn't even be ourselves with each other anymore because the family was around. It was like we had to put on our masks, and it was a literal mask that we both put on. And it was just so sad. Like looking back now, it's just so sad to see that. But I feel like that's exactly what you've experienced, Pile 2, is like having to put on this literal mask with the people who are closest to you. And it's like all you wanted was to be loved by them because they matter to you, because they are your family, you know. And maybe it doesn't feel that way now as you're growing and spiritually expanding, but I do feel like it's something that there's always that little part of you that's just holding on to hope that one day you'll become enough for them to say, hey, we're sorry we messed up with you, right? And maybe they will. Maybe one day they'll apologize. Maybe one day they'll be like, oh my gosh, like I totally messed up the best thing in my life, right? And maybe they won't. But instead of beating yourself up or putting yourself down, look at your good attributes. Look at the good things that you offer. If you can't fall in love with the way you look, fall in love with who you are, because nobody like you exists, Pile 2. You're a unique and rare gem in this world where you're helping others to heal emotionally in the world. And that's such a brave thing to do. And I feel like that wisdom comes from how much emotional trauma you went through with your family, yourself, and people who struggled to, maybe not even struggled, but maybe forcibly stepped over your emotional boundaries, right? They were constantly pressuring you to become whatever it was that they wanted you to become. They put you into a box. They expected you to fit inside of that box. And it doesn't have to be family. It could just be people around you. It could have been a constant thing that you were dealing with. Family, friends, school, teachers, you know, mentors, whatever. All these people in your family always had something to say about you. And it created a lot of imbalance in your life. And so seeing yourself as a leader sometimes is a big challenge, because you're like, well, if I'm such this great leader, why is it that nobody close to me could see that within me and still struggle to see that within me? And they don't They don't even encourage me. And it's because the people who are closest to you are the ones that cause the deepest wounds. They're the reason you're the leader. It's not because of their efforts. It's because of their lack of efforts. It's because of their indifference. It's because of their detachments. It's because of their lack of love. All of that created an atmosphere where you had to survive, and your survival led you to this now space where you're able to see and recognize pain, hurt, and injustice with others, and you stand up for them. You give them a voice, and that's something that they treasure. Whether you see that or not physically, people do treasure that, and they treasure you. And that's something that I feel like you need to just embrace and accept about yourself, is that you're there giving these people something that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten from anywhere else, because no one has suffered in the same way that you have, right? You've been through quite a unique circumstance of suffering, and it's been really consistent. And I feel like for you, Pal, too, like you've lived a lot of your life in solitude, and it's not for lack of wanting friends. It's not for lack of wanting people to love or to love people. In fact, I feel like you were always alone, even when you were loving people. And that creates a very unique atmosphere. And that's really what we're going to look at it as. It was just a unique atmosphere that you survived because you're a survivor. And you've learned so much from that. And now you're leading people out of very similar situations or mirroring situations. And that's what Source wants you to know. Yeah, the North Node, destined to have. You are someone who is destined to be seen in your light, to be seen as the loyal one, to be seen as the consistent one, to be seen as the leader, to be seen as the friend. You're the friend that reaches back for people when no one else would. And it's just because you hated being left behind. And I'm so immensely sorry that you were left behind. You never, ever, ever deserved that, Pile 2. Not ever once. You didn't do anything that was like, oh, hey, this is what I deserve. No, you never deserved that. You always deserve someone to stop and pick you up and help you dust off and just say, hey, come on the journey with me. And because no one did that, you decided to be that for others. And I hope you know how much of a blessing that truly is. Yeah, Trine, we have angelic support, harmony, and perfect flow. Like, this is something that you're meant to be doing. However that looks for you. It doesn't have to be something super grand, because even the smallest things can make the biggest changes. Just noticing the people who are around you, noticing the people who are around your everyday life. Oh, everyday people. Who sings that song? That's coming in, though. That's what this feels like. It's just everyday people. And they see you and they're like, I can resonate with pile number 2. I can connect with pile number 2, because they don't feel like they're unreachable. Right? You don't put yourself on some pedestal. You don't have any kind of arrogance about you. You're super humble and you're super approachable. And that's something that makes a difference. Like, you act human because you are human, right? Like, you're not trying to make it seem like, oh, no one can get to the place that I'm at. Because oftentimes you look at it as like, everyone is in a way different place than I'm at, and I'm glad that they're better off than I am. And that's, like, you have to see that differently. Recognize that you survived and celebrate that about yourself. And then know that that is a doorway for you to embracing your purpose. Yeah, chameleon spirit, act as if. You might have resonated with pile 1 with the chameleon spirit here. But part of you wants to blend in. Part of you wants to belong. But what if belonging is you standing out? What does that mean to you? Like asking yourself that question, pile 2. What if belonging means standing out? I already feel how uncomfortable that is. Because standing out is what made it feel like you didn't belong in the first place. You didn't belong around the people who were in your life. They didn't know how to receive you, and they didn't know how to give to you, because they weren't in... They didn't love themselves. They just weren't in a space that was where they were capable of giving to you what you needed. Whether that was them being selfish, or that was them being in their state of trauma, or whether that was them reliving old patterns, or whether that was them being triggered, whatever it was, they just were not capable of giving you what you needed. They weren't. And I know that it's hard to say, like, holding on to that though keeps your light dim. And remember that it's okay for you to surrender that to the divine. And you're not surrendering it saying that what they did was okay. Like forgiveness, right? We're not forgiving to say what they did was okay. We're forgiving because forgiveness truly is selfish if we look at it, because it's freeing ourselves from the chains of the past. So if you can look at it that way and see, you know what, I'm going to take this one selfish act for myself. I'm going to forgive all those people. I'm going to surrender it to the divine, because I know there's nothing I can do to go back and change my past, but I can choose to be present, and choosing presence helps me redirect the future. So if you choose to be selfish to forgive for yourself. Okay. Wow, very clear energy here with the teacher. Ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. You're sharing so much with others, and it's your experience. And it helps them see the world from a different place. And we have the shadow, which is manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. So I do feel like this is what you've been through that actually helped lead you into being a teacher for others. And I do get the sense like you don't see yourself as a teacher. You just, you know, see yourself as an everyday person, and that's fine. You don't have to see yourself as a teacher if you don't want to. It's just coming off, this is how people see you, as an emotional teacher, as an emotional master even. Someone who has mastered certain emotions and has overcome some very difficult situations and somehow still is very balanced and calm and collected and approachable. You didn't let life jade you the way that some people do. Moderation, rhinoceros. Yes, again with guru, this energy, he looks like a guru here. And he's mastered the flames of life, and you've been born again out of those flames. And it's all taken its time. Like, it's not something that happened overnight. It's happened inch by inch, moment by moment. But it's made you very wise, and it's made you very knowledgeable about how people can overcome certain things. And so why you get so fired up about injustices is because it's something that has happened to you time and time again. You know, recently, personally, I've been working with my inner child and the Ho'oponopono. This has come up a couple of times, but one of the things with working, Roy Gunn he's a great creator. If you get a chance, check him out on YouTube. He's phenomenal. He talks about the Ho'oponopono. I love his meditations. They're so incredible, but one of the things is between his meditations and reading this book, I Raised Myself, one of the things that came up was talking to my inner child. And I had to ask her, I was like, if I could name the emotion that you're feeling, because the anger is coming out, right? Like, I've been feeling anger for probably the better half of a year and a half. The better half of a year, the better side of a year and a half. Like, it's just been very apparent. It's come up. I've dealt with it physically. I've dealt with it emotionally. I've dealt with it mentally. The anger has been there. And I feel like I don't have any good way to express it. And I feel like that's something that you're also dealing with, is that anger and feeling like it's a negative emotion, and it's not. It's a very real emotion that we go through, pile 2. And the other thing is that I finally asked my inner child if we could name this emotion, what is it? And she finally came out and she said indignation, okay? To be indignant. And it makes sense. To be angry because of a lack of justice. To want for justice and not to be given justice, and to be angered by that. And to be angered by an unfair situation. And I feel like being indignant is a fair energy to be in here. It's okay for you to be indignant about the situation that you've gone through. It's okay. Like, and I feel like people look at being indignant as a bad thing. It's not. It's just a very real emotion that, you know, we're just labeling it as anger, but it's so much deeper than that, right? It really is. Like, there's so much more to this anger that's coming through than just being anger. It's anger with a cause. It's anger with a purpose. It's anger to be heard. It's anger to represent. And that's what I feel like is really important for you. And so because you're able to be angry for other people, it's almost as if they recognize that indignation for themselves. Like, oh, you were able to be angry for a cause with me, or you were able to be angry because of this for me. And that came out as a very clear understanding in their part, and that's what's so healing for them, and they're able to embrace that. But I do feel like it might be something that you struggle with yourself, and so it's why it's important to find a way to name those emotions. And if you don't have a lot of emotions, like names for emotions, look it up, right? Because it's more than just happy and joy, anger and sadness. Like there's so many other names out there that help us better understand the way that we're feeling. And so when you're able to name those emotions, that might be able to help you let go of something that you've been holding on to yourself, which has actually freed other people on their journey. So your card did flip over here. We have manatee on the bottom here with accept the situation as it is rather than fighting to change it. Yeah. Right? So it's like acceptance. We just talked about that. That was something that was very clear that came up on your reading. And so we've got condor here with you're too enmeshed in the situation to step back and see the bigger picture before making any decisions or taking action. So this is a very, very real energy. Okay, this is something that's very clear what's come up in your reading. It's just really hard for you to step back and see the situation clearly. You're seeing it through the eyes of the illusion, or you're seeing it through the eyes of the trigger, or you're seeing it through the eyes of what someone else has forced onto you. But the reality is that people see you as an emotional leader, someone who's able to help lead people through a very, very dark time in their lives, a very difficult time in their lives. So yeah, look at this porcupine spirit. We have time for a beginner mindset with the teacher. This is don't be afraid to always be a student. The minute you stop being a student is the minute you stop being a teacher. And so I feel like continuing to keep an open mind and learn as much as you can is going to help lead you down the path that you need to be on. And it's also going to help you be that strong leader for others, okay? Gossip. This is also something you deal with, I feel. Awakens consideration for the feelings of others and honoring trust. The other thing is that you receive a lot of very sensitive information from other people, and you don't give that away. Like other people would use that as a means to gossip or to spread rumors or to spread lies about other people, and you don't. And so I feel like a lot of people see that as that loyalty playing out with you. They're really grateful that you don't just go around spreading their stories. Like it's okay if you're like, oh, you know, like a very generic version of that, right, would be like, oh, I dealt with so-and-so, or I dealt with a situation like this. And you don't say names or anything like that. You just say, you know, one time I talked to somebody and they told me that they were going through a situation like this. Or you might even absorb their stories and take them as your own. Like, I went through this. Like, if it's coming from you personally, that might make a difference. And you're able to see it from outside of the box because it's not your story, because you're seeing it from a higher perspective rather than being so emotionally tied to it. And so people respect that about you. The shadow thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information and betraying confidences. And I feel like that's another thing. Like, people have gossiped about you or used your own situations, feelings, and stories against you, and they've slandered your name, and that's something you're like, I'm never going to do that to another person. Like, you just really have this sense of justice behind this, where you're coming from a place like, I'm never going to do that to another person. I'm not going to act like that with another person. I'm not going to say stuff like that about another person, because I know what that feels like. And that's a very empathic place to come from. Yeah. Authenticity with Wolf here. You do not see just how powerful your intuition is, how powerful your spirit is as well. You might really resonate with the wolf spirit as well. That might be your animal guide. That might be your animal spirit that leads you as well. You might dream about wolves pretty often as well. Or you might just have always been drawn to wolves. I'm specifically seeing a tattoo of a wolf on somebody's upper right arm. This is coming in, so I was just like, came in so strongly. This is a very specific, may only resonate with one person, okay, but that's coming in. Or just a generic, you might have a tattoo of a wolf on you, but I am seeing specifically on the upper right arm, there's a wolf tattoo. It's showing me like the face, or yeah, like, so if it was just the face here, right? So something about like that. Yeah, so that's really powerful coming in. But I feel like that's the thing, like, you reach out with your intuition, you feel injustice, you feel that hurt, you feel that pain, and that's what guides you from a very clear heart. And you might not realize that, but it is. And so people are naturally drawn to that. They're naturally drawn to your sense of justice as well. You might have Libra highly aspect in your chart. You might have Libra in the 10th house, or Libra, Aries, north and south nodes coming through, okay? So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. We have Lady Rowena and Spencer. The quality of divine mercy will expand your maturing consciousness. Sympathy will be transformed and mercy will awaken. You're like the angel of mercy. That's how people see you. The angel of mercy. You help them let go of that self-judgment, that self-degradation, that self-harm, and you help them to open up to a more loving energy, that divinity. So I was saying, people see the divinity within you. So the message from Lady Rowena says, you've reached a point on your spiritual path where your maturing consciousness expands to include a divine ability. This is when the lower vibration of sympathy will transform completely. Those who are merciful will take action, while sympathy has the opposite paralyzing effect, pulling us down into lower energies. Sympathy and pity represent a trap, while mercy is a gateway to the divine source of all being. The mercy and grace you show toward everyone indicate that you belong in the realm of love, where nothing and no one can deny your place. You belong. Since its creation, Rowena's soul has been connected with the black dragon, with whom she calls Spencer. Spencer says, patience is not always your greatest virtue, but you will need it. So think about putting it into practice now. You can only take one step at a time on the path of your destiny. There are no alternative routes, and those who try to take shortcuts will usually involve abandoning love and mercy. Will be forced to go back. Have patience and be merciful, even to yourself. Show yourself mercy. Show yourself grace. Like, that's the main message here, because as you show yourself mercy and grace, you actually ripple that out into the world, and people receive that from you as well, and that helps them soften their judgments towards themselves, because you're in that state of divine mercy and divine grace. And so you're very healing light, but you're also helping people meet the shadow with love, right? Spencer being this black dragon can be very intimidating, can be very scary. The shadow can be very scary, but it's actually not. It's a part of ourselves that we've been taught to deny and to judge and to cast aside. And you're helping people to face that part of themselves with love and acceptance, which is very, very powerful. Okay? So I'm so sorry you had to endure this hardships. Thanks for hanging out with me on this reading. I'm honored I got to do this for you today, but this is what I see for you. If you felt like this was your reading and you'd like to claim it, leave the little wolf emoji down below and say, by facing the shadow within and acknowledging that I am a beautiful, incredible, magnificent being here to raise a vibration on earth at this time, I free myself from the confines of the past. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the south node on it, or perhaps you felt called to this piece of smoky quartz, or perhaps you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on how do people see you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the messages resonate with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing them with you today. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out pile 3. How do people see you? Pile 3, how do people see you? Source, what would you like to say today for pile 3? Okay, so we've got the second house, we have Cancer energy, and we have Pluto. Definitely an underlying message of bringing transformative energy with you everywhere you go. Some people are ready to receive that. Not everybody is. That's life, right? Some people are really just holding on to old ideas, old beliefs, or they're just comfortable living in those uncomfortable patterns that they have become accustomed to for a very long time. But people see you as somebody who's very nurturing, in love with yourself, right? Very much about self-care, self-respect, self-honoring. But also somebody who just gives a lot. You give a lot to people. Maybe you're always helping people. And specifically getting energy of like helping in a soup kitchen or some sort of like Meals on Wheels, or helping giving back to like a senior home, a senior community. Maybe you like go in and you play the piano for them, or you play an instrument or entertain them in some way. That's what this feels like. But people recognize that you have so much love to give, and that you are constantly giving that, and that it's very beautiful. One second. So random. So as I'm saying that, right after I'd finished that sentence, my older dog, she's a senior, she wanted to go in the back room, and right now there's a fan that's blocking to go in the back room, and so she wasn't able to get through, and so she stood up and just stood in front of the fan. And that's why I asked to hold on for just a second. I was letting her back in the back room. And so that feels like a confirmation straight from source. Like that's something that you're doing is giving to a senior community, or even like helping senior animals or something like that. Maybe there's something special that you do where you're helping, you know, animals move this transition, or, you know, I am always so sad about this, but it does happen, and there are like senior homes for dogs and for cats. And I actually learned about this when I had to put down, way back when I first started this channel, I had to put down my 15-year-old healer, and I miss her so much. She's my soulmate. I just truly miss her. But the lady that came in to do the in-home euthanasia, she actually worked for a home like that where it was senior dogs. And she would go in and she had to visit them regularly, because, you know, when the dogs get to that age, like she was just had a running contract with them, and she always posted about them on her website. And she's like, you know, we're always looking for homes for these older animals. But even if it's not animals, if it's people, there's like this feeling that you bring with you where, you know, everybody deserves love no matter the age that they're at. Like everybody deserves caring and acceptance no matter the age that they're at. Whether it's our furry friends or scaled friends or reptilian friends, or if it is our human friends, there's something about you that you are seen as like a caretaker. You're seen as somebody who gives back to people who are quite often forgotten. You know, like in that senior home for dogs, like that's actually a place where people go and they turn over senior dogs because they're tired of handling their medications, or they just don't want to deal with them anymore. And I can't even imagine how heartbreaking that is for the dog or for the cat coming in after having spent all this time with the person, and they're getting older and slowing down, and the family doesn't want to handle that. You know, it's just so frustrating that people are like that. But I'm grateful that that center exists. Because of that center, they are given a beautiful life. They're surrounded by love. They're surrounded by other friends, and you know, it's a sad story that leads to a happy ending. And they're very well cared for. And you know, it's like she was talking to me about it, because she's like, you know, so many people who were in the situation that I was in with my older dog, she had cancer, and I was desperately trying to do everything that I could to make her end of life much easier, and, you know, to give myself some more time with her, because she was the first one that I had to put down. And she said, you know, it's amazing to see some people really show up, but she said so much of the times it gets so overwhelming that people just don't want to handle it. And she's like, you know, I've learned a lot about senior dogs and senior cats and just senior animals. And she's like, it's just so sad. And she's like, some of us hold on She's like, I'm guilty of this, holding on for too long. And she said, and some of us don't hold on long enough. And she says, I'm also guilty of that. And she's like, it's amazing to watch as this community stands up and reaches out and says, I'm going to be there for them in their last of days. You know, I'm going to be the love that they've always deserved. And so it does, again, it's not to be sad. Like, I'm not telling you this to be sad. I'm saying, like, this is a type of energy that you give off. It's that you're that person that stood up and said, I'm going to be there for you when no one else is. And so whether that's because you've been cast aside or whether that is because you see something that a lot of people completely overlook, that you feel is not right, and you're giving a space for some people here that otherwise feel like they don't belong anymore, or like their life is already run its course. Like, what's the purpose? We don't, you know, like, we don't have a space anymore. We don't have a right to take up space anymore. And you're saying, no, that's not right at all. Especially with Pluto energy here, you know, it connects with death and rebirth. And I've never really gotten this energy from Pluto, but it's coming really strong, but it feels something end of life. So that's what people see you as. Like, maybe you're somebody that deals with, like, you're a nurse or you're a doctor or you work in the healthcare and you're helping people with that transition from life to death, or a very specific message that you're a coroner that came in, or that you run like a funeral home that came in, and that there's something very different about you, but there's also something that's very serene and peaceful. It's like you deal with this on a daily basis, or you deal with this on a regular, and you have insight to a certain area of life that most people are afraid of. And it doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm talking about. It's just that this energy of senior and end of life is coming in so powerful right now, and so somebody needs to hear this message, or there's definitely a group of people who need to hear this message for sure. But it could be anything, right? It could be anything that you deal with. This could even be like saving old buildings, like historic buildings or historical sites that need to be restored and brought back to their glory and given the respect that they need. This could be restoring old, like, lost pottery. This could be restoring lost silver. This could be, you know, like something like that. There's like something about restoration of something that otherwise would have been buried and forgotten, or cast aside and forgotten. And so you yourself may have years as well, right? It's not about being old. It's just you have years under your belt. And that's something that you have either dealt with yourself, maybe from a personal family member or somebody in the family, and you were like, I just can't believe that everybody in the family did this to them. Like, maybe you got stepped up and took care of a grandparent or a parent or somebody like that. Or this is something you went through yourself personally, and you're like, I'm done with that. Like, just because we have years on us does not mean that we are obsolete by any means. And so you're bringing new life to something that has otherwise people have shut the door on. And that's how you're seen as very transformative, because you're also bringing with it this knowledge that it's like a perspective. You're bringing a perspective that people otherwise would have just brushed off, because they would have never considered how you see it. They would have never considered what you gain from being around this. So you could be an archaeologist as well that's coming in, you know, going to dig sites or something like that. Or maybe you work for a museum. Maybe you're a museum curator that's coming in. It could be anything really, but that's the type of energy that I'm getting here. And it's like people are opening their eyes to, okay, so they're showing me phones is what they're showing me right now. They're showing me like phones, like telephones, and where we buy one, I'm seeing people buy one and the next day throwing it out, buy one the next day throwing it out, buy one the next day throwing it out. So they're showing me a society where we're so focused on the next new thing that within a matter of minutes, what was once shiny and beautiful and highly sought after is becoming completely irrelevant. And you're bringing relevance back to those things. They're not trash for you. It's like, okay, yeah, so they're showing you that one man's trash is another man's treasure, or one person's trash is another person's treasure. And that's something like, you're the one who sees the treasure in what people have otherwise deemed as trash or irrelevant, obsolete, out of season, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, you're bringing new life to this. So something vintage. You could be a fashion designer as well, right? So how do people see you? Pile 3. Thank you, source. How do people see you? Wow. Thank you. How do people see you? Pile 3. Thank you. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, we've got the 2 of Wands. You've chosen a different path from most people. So the path that you walk is actually a path that most people are very cautious about. So maybe you do like swim classes or something for people who have, you know, injuries or need physical therapy or something like that. Or maybe you work with disabled people who need someone to be there for them, help take care of their needs and help show them some form of independence or help find solutions for independence, right? There's something here that whomever you work with on a regular, whomever you're around on a regular, you don't even necessarily have to work with them. It could be volunteer. Like I was getting the soup kitchen at the beginning. This could even be volunteer work that you do, right? It's just something you find fulfilling that, you know, you're just like, I want to go, I want to spend my time, I want to donate my time to these people because they deserve that, or this situation because it deserves that. And it's like, most people find what you do cautious. Like I would be very cautious. I'd be afraid of causing further damage. I would be afraid of just being, you know, completely out of the box. I don't belong. There's something wrong with it. There's something like, I don't belong here. I can't give to the people the way that you're doing. I can't give to the situation the way that you're doing. But this is a path that you've clearly chosen. And through that, you've learned how to navigate a very difficult situation. But what's amazing about it is people see you as somebody who has easily been able to deal with this or focus on this or donate time to this. And for you, maybe it is in some regards easy, but I feel like the challenge is something that called you as well, because you saw a need for solution. But it doesn't mean that the solution came easily. It meant that the solution came by putting in your effort, showing up consistently, showing up with an open mind and an open heart. And sometimes that can be the most challenging thing that we do for ourselves and for others. And so I feel like they're seeing you take on a challenge or a burden, what they would consider a burden. But for you, it's about the fulfillment behind the challenge and what you've gained from maybe getting stories from people who have lived a very long life, or maybe experiencing the different personalities of these animals that you find, or maybe connecting with these people who have otherwise been cast aside and forgotten because they're slow by standards, by society standards. And when I say slow, I'm not talking about mentally or anything like that. I'm talking about like, they can't keep up with the day-to-day. So like if somebody's in a wheelchair, people are looking at that as, oh, you know, what do they say? I'm handy-capable. I'm not handicapped, right? But people who don't have to deal with that automatically see that as a dysfunction, right? Someone who has Down syndrome, they see that as a dysfunction. Someone who has a mental disability or is not, maybe has ADHD, or who has, what is that when you can't, dyslexia or something like that. They're seeing it as a dysfunction, and you see it as an opportunity to help someone. And what people see you as is this person who is brave enough to work with what people have deemed a dysfunction, maybe even a stain on society, which is so unfortunate. And I feel like you're experiencing something so beautiful in what it is that you're doing. And while you can share that with others, until people choose to see from a different perspective, they're always going to be run by that internal judgment. Because, you know, like, I've talked about this with my family, you know, like, even like mental health, you could be in psychology or mental health field too. But, you know, like, even with mental health, like going to a therapist, this is still something that's stigmatized in society. Like, oh, you must be crazy, or there's something wrong with you, or, oh, you belong in the loony bin if you go and talk to a therapist, right? Like, I've talked to my family about this, and I was like, it's still stigmatized. But seeking out a therapist is self-help, no matter how you look at it, and that's self-care. But if we're constantly worried about what others are judging us based on that, it's like that stigma will continue to persist, and we'll continue to have these increasing rates of depression and anxiety and disassociation and other very, very heavy things that can come from that. If we finally open up and realize, like, it's normal for us to want to talk to somebody. That's normal, right? It's normal for us to want to share our problems. We need to leave this perspective of, oh, that makes you weak because you can't carry it by yourself. No, it's strength to ask for some help. It's strength to ask somebody to listen to us and to just let us get it off our chest and maybe give us some guidance. You know, it's like, these are things that should be normalized, and that's what it feels like. What you're doing is something that should be normalized but has been stigmatized by society. And so it's like, when people see you, they see you on an uphill battle doing something, but also for the greater good. And so they're admiring you, and they think that it's really admirable. But at the same time, there's still that stigma that's still, their own internal judgments are coming, right? Yeah, we have the Sun card and the 5 of Wands in the upright. Yeah, so there's something here, and I feel like you yourself have taken on a lot of that personal judgment too, whether that's just because you see so many people believe this way, or because you see that there's, you know, this idea that, you know, people can't, and you're like, I want to show them that they can. Or like with, you know, senior animals, are saying, oh, they can't, and you're like, no, I want to show them that they can. They still have, even if they have 3 years left, that's still a lot of life left. Like, even if it's seniors, they're 70 years old, who knows, they could live to be 110. It's been known to happen, right? Like, we're basically saying, like, oh, you're at the end of your life when you're 70, and you're like inspiring them and saying, like, 70 is the new 30, own it, let's see what happens, right? Or if it's the mental health care, right, you're shining this light on it, but it's in a very compassionate way with these two brothers here, these two siblings, right, depending on how you see it. But these are two siblings here on this card. This could also be seen as yourself with the higher consciousness, or your higher self. And you're compassionately reaching out and saying, like, we need to come together, right? Come together right now over me. Okay, Beatles, right? And it's like asking people to see beyond their own limitations, even though it's like their limitations aren't even that. Like, they're making it seem like this is the end of the world, right? And it's not. You're like, just look over the wall. Just step over the wall. You can step over it. And they're saying, like, that's a gigantic wall. I'll never be able to crawl over that. And you're like, you just need to step over it. Like, seriously, you're acting like this is the Great Wall of China, and it's really just 2 bricks stacked up that you need to carefully step over so you don't trip, but you can step over it. You have it within you. Right? And so you're just bringing this idea, and you're shining a light on it, and you're helping them see, like, this outdated way of viewing the world, it's just not gonna, we can't sustain it, because we're losing a grip on reality with certain groups, maybe cultures, certain places, certain animals. Like we're losing a grip on reality with them, and you're the one that's bringing that back. Like you're reining it in. That's what I keep hearing. You're reining it in. You're reining them in. You're giving them a voice. You're giving them a say. You're helping them be seen. And it's been hard because it's something that maybe for a long time, like you saw it for a long time with the Hermit card here in the reverse. Like it was something that it was scary for you to approach because like, how am I going to affect this in the future? How am I going to elicit change? But the want and the desire to spread this viewpoint outgrew the fear of what could potentially happen in the future. And it doesn't mean that you haven't taken hits. It doesn't mean that you haven't been pushed down or had to rise again. With the Five of Wands, we see that no matter how imbalanced the situation became, you still rose again. You still picked yourself up and dusted yourself off. You were still able to overcome and regain a sense of balance throughout this. And now there's something very powerful about the way you move and the way you walk that people admire and they're absolutely speechless from. And I feel like they can't help but want to try to see the world from how you see it. Even if they don't know where to start, it's just like, well, if I could just put the shoe on the other foot the way that pile 3 does, then maybe I'll see something that they see, and that's enough. And so there's an inspiration that's coming with that, and they're really trying to, but I feel like most people are just really grateful that you're carrying what has been perceived as a burden. I don't know why, but right now I'm seeing the movie is wild. I only watched it one time. I couldn't watch it more than once because it was just really affected me energetically and emotionally, but that was Stigmata. And I don't know if you've watched that recently or if that's something, but it's like people didn't want to believe that this was possible, that this could happen. Like it was something that is like, well, it's almost like, well, if everybody's doing it, then I should do it too. But you were the one that was saying, no, let's not. And you could be religious, or maybe you're speaking up against religion, or maybe it's like you're trying to help open up eyes in a religious community or something like that. You know, whatever it is, right? Most people here aren't necessarily full blown out religious. I would say most of us are open to spirituality, especially if you're watching tarot, like, because a lot of religion's very limiting in that way, and that's fine. If somebody resonates with that, that's fine. But you could also be incredibly religious here and still seeking answers and have an open mind in that regards, which is great. I think that's so powerful, especially now in this world. So, but there's this energy where it's like, I don't know why the movie Stigmata is coming through, but I'm seeing specifically when she's in the bath and the crown of thorns starts appearing on her head, and she's getting the cuts, and the bath fills up, and the cuts are on her head, and you know, they're like watching it form on her, like they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on with her, and they're watching this form on her forehead, and it was just, it's wild that that's the part that I'm seeing, because it's like there's something about connected directly to the third eye, which is our ability to imagine and to reach our dreams and our goals. And with the Sun card I'm seeing here with the kids, this is almost like something that you've seen as an early in your life, like maybe at the age of 10, maybe even earlier than that, maybe a little later than that, maybe between the ages of 5 and 10. Like there's something that you saw here and you dreamt to dream a better dream, is what I'm hearing. To dream a better dream, to dream a better world. And the candle just going out. Yeah. And recognizing that no one was ready or willing to embrace this. And so there were a lot of people who may have been triggered by your want for this different viewpoint, or for your want of this different way of living. And now it's like you're being surrounded by people who are grateful for you, and they see you as a strength, and they see you as the nurturing mother or the nurturing father or the nurturing caretaker in their life, and they're really grateful for that. And so they're very happy. There's some real happy energy here where I'm so grateful for pile 3. Like I'm grateful that they're willing to be different. I'm grateful that they're willing to stand out. I'm grateful that they're willing to take the hard hits so that we can have a voice. I'm grateful that they're willing to learn and to bring their wisdom. So there's something here, and it's like, if it is animals, they're grateful for your energy because your love radiates to them. And they're very aware of that, and they're aware that you're there for them. Like, there's no questioning that. They know that. And it's not like, you know, animals aren't dumb. It's always baffles me when people are like, animals are dumb. I just never understood that, because it's like, have you ever just hung out with an animal? Like, they're wild, but they definitely have their own personalities, and they do their own things, and they have their own ideas. And, you know, like my Angel, she's been the talk of the day today, but she's come up a couple of times. But right now, just thinking about it, yesterday I had to go to the store, and she's been getting into her bag of bones over there, and she's an opportunist, right? So she's so smart. I can't keep her in a kennel because she's opened up every kennel I've ever put her in. You know, if you've ever seen Gilmore Girls, when she gets Paul Anka, like, she's kind of on that level. Just, I never understand how she's gotten out of all the kennels that I've had her in. She has figured out how to open up these Ziploc bags recently. And so I have to put up her bones. I forgot to put up a bag yesterday because I keep them on the floor in one of the farmer's dog bags, because they're a really nice bag. And I was like, oh, that's perfect for holding your treats, so you don't have a lot of room in here anyways. And I came back and I was like, there's a bag of bones missing. I'm going to tell you, I searched all over the RV. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. It's like, okay, maybe it was empty. Maybe we threw it away and forgot. Like, I was pretty sure there was another bag in there and stuff like that. And this morning, after I got up and I was moving everything around, put up my bed, and she was underneath the driver's seat. I was like, what is she doing? And I walked over there, and sure enough, there was the bag completely open, not torn open, open, like open from the top, like empty, cleaned out. And I'm sitting there like, this dog, she is something else. She's just wild. And I love her with my whole heart. I love all the animals that we've ever had, and I love these two because they're so unique. But it's like that, like, people will be like, oh, they're just dumb. If they were dumb, like, how would she figure that out? And she's done it multiple times. Like, there's been one time when she tore up the bag, and that was it. But other than that, she figures out how to get the Ziploc open and gets her head in there, and she eats a treat. Thankfully, there was only like 3 treats in there, so she didn't overeat them or anything like that. And then she didn't get her night treat anyways, and so she was so sad about that. But you know, I think about that, and it's like that. It's like people have this prejudgment, like, oh, just because they can't physically communicate with us with words, then they're dumb. So maybe, you know, this is like, okay, so I'm hearing sign language is coming in too, like somebody who signs, or like a deaf community is coming in, like you work specifically with people who need sign language. And like people, again, there's like all these stigmas that come with just normal people. They're normal people, right? I don't know, like, I just sometimes I just want to smack people. I'm being real, guys. Like, sometimes you just want to smack people, because it's like, how can you not see them as a normal person just because they're not like you? They're still a normal person at the end of the day. We're all normal. We just have different experiences that we have. But that's what it feels like. You're dealing with somebody or a group of people that have just been, the misfits. Yeah, the island of the misfits. That's coming in. You're a misfit. They're a misfit. Everybody's a misfit. And they enjoy you and they're grateful for you. Yeah, you brought together this community by networking with Gemini here. Yeah, it's the way you talk to them. It's the way you include them. It's the way that you give them the love that they have always wanted. I also just got a message where maybe you do paranormal, and somebody that's had like a really wild experience and no one believed them, and you believe them. That was just like enough to like ease their feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm crazy, or whatever it is. So that's something else that's coming in. Or maybe you do paranormal tours or something like that. Wow, some really, really specific messages today. Yeah, Jupiter, grow and expand. Very spiritual, right? There's something here where you're spiritually helping others, or you're spiritually connecting with others. Even if it doesn't feel spiritual, it could be very, very physical. Like there's some sort of like something you're doing physically for people, but it's helping them to grow and expand, and they feel very blessed and abundant now that you're there with them. So there's a lot of people who see you as a reprieve from everyone else that they've had to deal with, and they're really grateful. They see you as the light, as the sun. They're very happy that you're there. Yeah. Wow, we've got number 22, Dragonfly Spirit. Truth transcends illusion. Yeah, there's something here where you're just tired of people trying to pass on the illusion, and you're really standing up. It's like the illusion itself is the bully, and you're the fighter. You're fighting that bully. You're like, this isn't gonna fly anymore. I'm not gonna let this have a voice. I'm not gonna let this be what it's been. I'm gonna take charge, and I'm gonna make something different here. And you really are. You're making a change, right? You're helping people find stability in a new way of being, a new way of thinking. But also, whomever it is, this community that you're connecting with, whomever, whatever it is, it's like, finally, like, we've been looking for someone like this our whole lives. Like, even if it's you restoring ancient artifacts, like, there's some ancestors somewhere in the spiritual world that are like, yes, finally you made it. We're so glad you're here. You know, like, they're really excited about that. Yeah, we have Mentor here. A gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in professional and personal life. Respect for both sides of the argument. And the Shadow is negotiating with an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. So you're like the mediator here. You're able to help bring it together in a peaceful situation, but also with strength and with clarity and a lot of resolve. The Guide. Yeah, something very spiritual about you. It says represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. The Shadow is personal or places financial gain and control over the imparting of spiritual knowledge. So this is really interesting because it's like, this is what it is. It's like maybe the industry that you're in or that what you volunteer for, right? Again, their volunteering is something that came through. Like, you're offering your services and there's not much that you're getting in return. Except for fulfillment. Like, I heard someone say, that's not true. I feel really like fulfilled in this. Like, it was so loud. That's why I stopped, because it was so loud. And I was like, yeah, except for fulfillment. I get that. Absolutely. But you're not asking for the normal things that people would ask for in what it is that you're doing, because you're really just there to fill up others' cups. And you love that. Like, there's something unique about that. And people are so grateful. They see you as the guide. They see you as somebody that's here to help them. They see you as this wise soul. They see you as love. They see you as light. They see you as the sun. Like, there's so much that they really appreciate your abilities and what you're doing. How do people see you, pile 3? You know, I'm actually really grateful for this because this reading's been pretty positive overall. Like, all 3 piles have been super positive. And I feel like sometimes when we get involved in these readings, we immediately go to that dark side within us. Like, oh, they're going to see us as this or that or whatever it is that we've judged ourselves before. And so I feel like it's just been really a great reading overall. And I'm really honored. And I just want to point out, like, if you've spent all 3 readings with me, leave a purple heart down below. That makes you part of my Purple Heart Club. I really appreciate anybody spending any amount of time with me. And also, if you're drawn to it, pile 3, you may resonate with the collective reading, which you'll find timestamped down below in the description, in this description box, because there might be additional messages for you there, only if you feel called to view it, okay? Yeah, with Tiger and Will, this is all about your willpower. Like, you're so strong. People see you as so strong. Like, you're shouldering something that so many people, they're either afraid of, or they're judging, or they believe that it's just, what's the point? It's dead and gone. It's over with. There's no point in getting involved in it anymore. Like, you're not the person who thinks, this sounds so weird, but this is what's coming in. You're the person who knows that your vote matters, right? Not about politics or anything like that. It's just you're the person who knows that your vote matters. And so you're going to cast it regardless. Regardless if you're the only person or regardless if you're the billionth person. Like, you're still casting it because you know it matters. You know that you're the drop that raises the ocean. when everyone else is like, what's the point? You know, like, I'm not making a huge difference. But it's that one person, i.e. pile 3, that does make such a huge difference. And so people see you as this person who's just gracefully jumping out with this strong power of will and making a choice that is changing lives and inspiring others and helping bring something to others, to a community or to a group of people. Okay. So the penguin, this period of darkness that you've been experiencing is now passing. Isn't that interesting? Because I just said it's like sometimes we let the darkness within us win. I just saying that. I don't even remember exactly what I just said. It just came out. So that's total confirmation of a channeled message here. But it's like showing, like, you know, sometimes that judgment within us wins, or we let people deter us from what it is that we want to do. And they're showing like that's past for you now. You're not going to let people deter you from being you, from being authentic to yourself. Something about doing what it is that you're doing is so authentic to you. And that's just it. It's like it's a part of who you are, and you're letting that shine now. So we've got Dove Spirit with Be Peace. Yeah, you're bringing a lot of peace. This also feels like that transition from life to death, or this transitional period, like just to a new way of living or new way of experiencing life, right? Yeah, Bee Spirit here with Honeybee and Reciprocity. So this is that feeling I was getting earlier where it's like you might not be getting paid for what you're doing, or you might not receive what people would expect you to receive doing what you're doing. But for you, it's reciprocal, because you're receiving fulfillment. You feel life's sweetness. You feel the love. You feel the grace. You feel the harmony. You feel the peace. You feel the synastry of it, and you enjoy that and you revel in it. And so there's just a lot of fulfillment here is what this feels like with the honeybee. And I feel like not only are you fulfilled, everybody that you are helping or that you're dealing with also feel that as well, and they feel fulfilled as well. So we platypus, stop complaining and focus your attention on the blessings in your life. This feels like confirmation to the people who see you as a blessing. Like before, they've just been wanting like someone to see them, someone to stand up for them, someone to be there for them. Or it's just in regards to there's been a lot of people complaining about them, right? And it's like, look, life is too short. Why are you focused on the negative? Like, let's look at the positive things in life, right? And I feel like that's why platypus is here. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says today. We have Melahel and Chumhachadlu. Melahel has spoken. I am the light in the darkness. What? Okay, seriously. With the penguin spirit, what I just said that I can't remember for the life of me, but I know it found its way home to you, and that's fine. I will guide you back to divine love. All lower energy must bow before my power. And that's exactly, this is that energy that you're giving. It's like you're making lower vibrational energies bow before that powerful love and that powerful grace and that powerful mercy that you're bringing. And that's why it's like people are grateful for you because they needed that. It's like what people see as trash or recyclable or not worth their time, and you're seeing the value behind it. And that's just, that's so powerful. It's truly so powerful. So let's see here. Okay, 14. All right, a message from Melahel. I greet you with open arms. My healing light envelops you, regenerating your body and transforming difficult situations into those that can be dealt with and successfully managed. Any hard and entrenched attitudes held by you or those around you will soften and melt away. Once the green light has penetrated everything, the pink light of love can once again flow freely. I am here now. Use this time to meditate and call my name. The divine source of all being assigned a dragon to this angel so that he could serve incarnated souls with even greater power. Melohau has named his dragon Chum Ha Chad Lu, which means power through light. What a synchronicity for you, pile 3. So, a message from Chum Ha Chad Lu. It says, I bring you light with explosive power. I will free you from all hardship and adversity. Who among you is not worthy of the most beautiful and highest of all things? With what lie about yourself have you made a pact? Let go of false beliefs about yourself and face me. I will teach you to see, to recognize your exalted light. You deserve no less than paradise. That's the exact same energy that you give to these people, whoever they are, and that's what they feel. They feel that from you. They feel the blessings. They feel the light. They feel the life, the love, like all of that. It's so powerful what you give. And so people see you as just such a blessing in times of hardship. They recognize that and they embrace that with love too. And I feel like a lot of people here are just hoping that you know that they're so grateful for you, and that even if they don't know how to say it, or they can't say it, maybe they can't say it, or maybe there's something internally that's stopping them from saying it, because, you know, we all go through that. It's like they just want you to know that they're so grateful, right? And that they really do love and appreciate you, and that you bring a lot of transformation, and that you've been the light in their darkness. And I think that that's so just what a blessing. Thank you for being you, pile 3. Truly, thank you for being you. Wow, what an amazing energy. I'm honored I got to do this reading for you today. But this is what I see here for you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. If you felt like this was your energy, leave the little bee emoji down below and say, it is with the sweetness of life, recognizing that it is short and meant to be lived, that I find the purest of joy and open my heart. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly incredible and powerful reading today. Thank you for being you, pile 3. Until next time, stay human.